Hello, and how you're doing today? And I am back with another movie review. And this time, this is a movie that doesn't include horror or action. Yes, you heard that right. Frankie is not watching a movie that doesn't contain action, horror, and comedy. I mean, I'm surprised as much as he was. This is actually more like I would say it's more of a mystery type movie. One of the most interesting movies I've ever seen. And I was looking at it, I thought, you know what, this movie sounds really interesting to me. It's got a good concept to it. It's about an hour and 15 minutes. Before I get on with the details, I will talk about it. And I do give out spoilers. So just to let you know, it's just how it is in my video. So watch the movie beforehand, then come back to me and tell me how you felt about it. And this movie is called Seven Splinters in Time. This is going to be very difficult to explain, and I'm not sure how many of you have seen it because some of the movies I've seen nobody's heard of. This is probably one of the most interesting movies I've seen. And yeah, it looks like it says it was made in 2018, but it looks like it was more way later than that, more way earlier. It looks like it was made in 2000 something because of the quality of it. But I guess this is how it is really. It's about a detective that investigates a murder, only to find out that the victim is him. Now, maybe clarify that the victim is him. And that's where it gets confusing because he basically sees different versions of himself afterwards. Some of them cool, but one of them is trying to kill him, basically. I will get into that soon, but it's sort of confusing to say. And he gets this like doctor, psychiatrist to help him out or something like that. Talks about his memories, and he keeps going to flashbacks of him when he was like a teenager in a car with this girl called Louise or Eloise or something like that. And apparently there was some stories like they found two naked guys and they nearly run him over, and then the car crash and blah blah blah, and he dies when he's being a teenager, but he's alive. You can see where this is going. He looks after an old woman basically in the present right now, and he's the motor version himself. You probably kind of get the gist of what it is by now anyway, and it's indeed like it's a time traveling type movie basically. And he sees this, he goes to this woman, this in the middle of the movie, and actually talks to her about what he's been seeing. She said, "Oh, he freaks out." He said, no, I'm not the right person to be treating you with this." And well, as soon as he leaves this psychiatric ward, right before he does the institute or something like that, this version of himself, dressed in all white, is wants to kill him. This is basically the bad version of him, basically the really evil one that goes and kills duplicates, as I heard from this. It's based, and a librarian tells a story towards the end, so you kind of understand where I'm going with this. But the woman that he said he was with and he loves or something like that doesn't really remember him or doesn't know anything about him. There's a lot of phrases in this movie that will confuse a lot of you. They use phrases like, "Oh, this is the past." What if the past is the present? And what if you see yourself, but it's actually you right now? What's gonna happen in the future? Those type of phrases. It's very confusing to actually explain. You have to watch the movie to stay get a gist of what I'm talking about. The acting, this sort of movie, you don't the acting doesn't necessarily need to be good for something that relates to time travel because it's very detailed, it's very serious. You forget about the acting for one day in that one moment right there. Whereas with horror is probably the only horror and action is probably the only type of genres where you need good acting because you got to show that you're actually like scared or you're up for like you're attacking people and whatnot. It's I could say that the quality of the movie could have been better, but you know what? This is a really interesting concept. It's not a below average movie in my opinion. It's definitely average. I've got to say they could have made it longer. They could have had a bit more in it. They said sci-fi is included, but I don't know if they don't like sci-fi to me. So I'm gonna just maybe it's because it relates to time travel. So I'm just gonna probably forget about that for now. To be honest, they could have added that in as well. It's not how I expected the movie to go. It is. You could say it's similar to Quantum Leap, but there's different fractures of this guy, different versions of him around. And it makes me beg the question, what if, when we talk about doppelgangers, what if doppelganger is actually another version of us in time? What if we've all time travelled and there's different versions of us? When we see someone that looks like us, I don't just mean, oh, you standing next to someone that looks like you and people think they look like you. No, I mean like different doppelgangers that looks exactly like you. Same skin tone, same eyes, same everything, but probably dress differently, have a few different features. What if they just time traveled? You know, you never know. Like, we could have all time traveled on different versions of us. That's where they probably termed doppelganger also where it comes from. And maybe I could tell that is a bad thing because it's different. You know, there's two versions of him that are exactly the same that got murdered. So it kind of makes you raise a question though, because what if, you know, we've all come across somebody that could have been like us, maybe we don't know, you know. So and then the old woman, it turns out the old woman that he was looking after when he said he needed to go, this was towards the end where he went back in time to change everything just to get the girl. That shows how committed he was, and he didn't know what the hell was going on either. And you know, and he met this friend called, his last name was Luke or something like that, Luke or something like that, and talking to him about, you know, that's his friend and whatnot, and he saved him on the road, you know. And yeah, so the old woman that it turns out he was looking after was in fact Eloise. So I'm thinking that's Eloise when she's older, and the guy didn't even know himself. So he never actually get to find out that that was actually, you know, the person he loved was going to be with. It's kind of deep, this movie. And I'm not going to give it a high rating because I don't think it's that good of a movie, but I think it's really interesting. I like the whole concept of it. So the rating, the reason I'm going to give it this rating is because it's got a good concept. I like time traveling type stuff. I think that's really interesting. I like when movies are detailed, that it confuses you a bit, and that's how it's supposed to be. When you're getting confused at that, because it's a time traveling movie, there's a lot of detail. Someone go back in time, they change everything. That's meant to be confusing. So it's not a below average type movie, just simply because of the storyline, the plot, you know what was going on near the end as well. It's because it's a beautiful type of movie. Could have been better. I was gonna give it a 7, but there wasn't much going on for me to give it. So it was more detailed. I like the whole concept. I was gonna give it a 5, but you know what? I'm gonna up it up a notch. I'm gonna say 6 out of 10. That's reasonable, fairly in between. It is an okay movie. 7 would be good, and 8 and between what 8, 9, 10 would be brilliant. That's what I usually rate. That's why if you notice the really good brilliant horror movies, I usually rate them 8 out of 10 and 9 out of 10 or whatever. This one is a 6, just an above average. I think in my opinion, just because of the concept of it. It's a difficult one because it is an average type movie in my opinion, but because of what it's about and because how well they scripted and the dialogue into it, it's got to be a 6 out of 10. You know, I kind of like, it could have been way more better, to be honest. I don't believe it's made in 2018. I think it was probably earlier than that. It's difficult. I don't like doing 5.6 and 5 point whatever. I don't do that stuff. I just do like a whole number. And there's a lot of people that might think it's below average because it's quite dull. I didn't find it dull. I was hooked in this sort of movie because it's my sort. That's why I'm going to up it to 6 out of 10. I would say 5. That would also be reasonable. That's the lowest I could have gone. But I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I'll be generous in this movie because of what how it hooked me. You know. Yeah, so pretty difficult. If you know, the movie's called Seven Splinters in Time, just to remind you. Now, it obviously will be in the title. If you enjoyed this movie, please give it a like if you want. Comment below. Share with everybody you know. Subscribe and hit the bell notification below. And I shall see you in my next video.